All right, welcome everybody. Hello, and thank you for joining us for today's virtual Lunch and Learn with the Mid-Ohio Valley Chamber of Commerce. I am Jill Parsons, the President and CEO of the Chamber, and I want to thank my coworker, Nicole Gwen, for organizing today's event. So right now we have all of the attendees on mute, and we ask that you please jot any questions that you have in the chat feed, and Nicole will monitor those, and we will allow time at the end for question and answer. So joining us today is Dominique Kirl. Dominique is the transition agent for Jobs and Hope, West Virginia. And today's Lunch and Learn topic is putting West Virginians back to work. And I'm so excited to have Dominique with us today. This is such an important topic, and I'm so glad to see so many chamber members that are joining us today, because this is a project and a role I think that we can play in our community. So I made the mistake of telling a friend this morning that we were holding a virtual lunch and learn, and his response is that where they just pretend to eat? So I told him I was going to so use his joke, but please feel free to grab your lunch and join us as we learn from our guest speakers. So Dominique, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Okay, thank you, Jill. My name is Dominique Kirl, and I am a transition agent in Region 4. There are 2 transition agents in Region 4. I cover Wood, Wirt, Ritchie, and Pleasants County, and then Melissa Morrison, she covers the rest of the counties, Jackson, Roane, Mason, and Clay. So we have the region split up for 2 transition agents. Jobs and Hope is a program that was created by Governor Justice and legislation to help folks that are in long-term recovery get access to education and employment, as well as while we're doing that, we are going to work on overcoming some of the barriers. We work with anybody that has barriers, but the main population that we tend to serve is participants that have previously been incarcerated, may have criminal history, and or are in recovery from substance use disorder. So a lot of times while they were in active addiction, they made some choices that have now affected them long-term as far as, sorry, my phone's going off, I'm muting it. As far as barriers to employment, such as transportation, driver's license, that's a big thing that we do, housing, childcare. We work with legal aid. We work with the DHHR. We work with local employers. We work with the West Virginia Workforce, and all of this is going to be in my presentation. So before I talk about everything that's already in my presentation, I'm going to go ahead and get started with it. Let's see, there we go. So like I said, West Virginia Legislature to address the substance use disorder crisis through a statewide collaboration of agencies to provide linked services to participants. So what does that mean? Early on, we realized that we recognize it's going to take everyone in the room, in the community, and in the county, in the state working together to make a meaningful impact, and none of us can do it alone. Our vision statement, providing West Virginians in recovery the opportunity to overcome obstacles to enable them to lead successful lives with employment, families, and communities. We are empowering individuals in recovery to live up to their aspirations. So letting them know that the American dream has not died due to choices that they made while they were in active addiction. Mission statement, collaborating to provide West Virginians assistance to overcome obstacles and connect them with employment opportunities, and providing people with hope through community collaboration and career employment. One of the sustaining components of successful recovery, according to experts in the field, is gainful employment. So individuals who are in recovery is our target population, as I mentioned before, from substance use disorder. More specifically, those who have completed are in the process of completing a recovery or treatment program. So I'm going to speak more on that just a little bit. So we say, must be committed to maintaining their recovery and in recovery. And I've been in this position for a year. I still learn new things every day. If a participant, we also want them to be somewhat career ready, although we help them get career ready. But if they're in a 28-day program, like if they're just starting their treatment and they're in a 28-day program, we really ask that they give us a call back once they've completed the 28-day program, because I don't know if you guys are all familiar with treatment. I have worked in treatment in the past, and while they're in a 28-day program, they usually don't have access to phones, cell phones, or emails and things like that. And we know it's impossible to apply for employment nowadays without your phone or a laptop or something. You have to pretty much submit resumes online. You don't fill out a paper application anymore. So if somebody is just 2 or 3 days clean and sober, those are not, we would want them to get into some kind of program and talk to them after they've completed their initial 28 days of recovery. I work with a lot of folks that are in sober living. So if you guys are not familiar with that, after they complete a 28-day program, they would go on to a 3 to 6 month sober living program. We have several of those in our county of Wood. We have the Mid-Ohio Valley Fellowship Home. We have Hope Recovery Manor and places like that. So Genesis through Westbrook, those are some of the sober living that I generally work with a lot of participants that are in those programs. They have to be a West Virginia resident with a barrier to employment. Eligibility. So I kind of just talked about that a little bit, but they also have to be 18 years of age or older, a resident of West Virginia. They must possess educational employment goals, have been identified as career training or job placement ready. They have to have a barrier to employment, and they have to be committed to their recovery. Negative drug screens. So this is something that I really wanted to talk about with you guys specifically, because I try to sell our program to employers in our areas on the fact that each participant has to complete a drug screen for entry into our program, and then monthly they have to provide drug screens. That's at no cost to the participant, at no cost to the employer. We're already doing drug screens. So if I would have an employer that says, yes, I would like to hire folks that are in your program, I can guarantee that those participants are going to be screening monthly. And if they are not, then they will be suspended from the program, and we will offer them recovery resources, and then, or give them the option to basically, get a drug screen to us by the end of the month. But they have to have a drug screen every month to be enrolled and working and active in our program. These are some of our major partners. West Virginia Workforce, if a participant is in.
Dominique, I'm sorry, you just got muted. I'm sorry. You'll have to unmute yourself there on your screen. I apologize.
No problem. No problem. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry. Okay.
No problem. So West Virginia Workforce is actually where our offices are located. And currently I'm working out of a satellite office at St. Joe, but my main office is at the unemployment office. We work with West Virginia Workforce for immediate job placement. So if a participant identifies that they need employment right away, I will refer them to West Virginia Workforce, and we will help them find immediate employment and then get them into some kind of training or education program, and then go on to find career employment. So a lot of times I am finding folks immediate employment just just to get them, you know, started. We partner with West Virginia Adult Education. I provide a lot of my participants go to adult education for trainings and programs, classes. Adult education offers so many free courses that I was not even aware of until I started working with Jobs and Hope. If a participant doesn't have a high school diploma, I will send them over definitely to get that taken care of first. If they want to do career exploration or college preparation or resume assistance, basic computer skills. They also have a class called Through the Customer's Eyes 1 and 2 for customer service. That looks good on anybody's resume. They have work ethic classes, QuickBooks, Microsoft Office, Microsoft Word, Computer Essentials, and that's just to name a few. So a lot of times, if they're not ready to go to a technical or a college program, I will get them enrolled in adult education classes to get them where they need to be for technical school or college. We partner with the West Virginia Department of Health and Human Resources, the Workforce Development Board, the DMV, as I mentioned before. We partner with the West Virginia National Guard. We have some certificate programs through the West Virginia National Guard that are paid for through Jobs and Hope. The heavy equipment training is a popular one. It's a 28-day training program that they provide at Camp Dawson. A participant will go there if they are active and enrolled in Jobs and Hope, and they will stay for 28 days. They will get trained on every piece of heavy equipment. They will have employers come in at the end of that training to talk to them about employment, and they will leave with a certification in heavy equipment. We also have a landscape certificate and a agriculture certificate through all partnered with National Guard. We work with Legal Aid of West Virginia. We have an attorney that we work with. Her name is Marie Bechtel. She is wonderful. She helps with the expungement. So expungement now in West Virginia is more accessible due to changes in legislature. So if a participant has been released off probation, have completed inpatient treatment, have completed adult education classes that make them eligible for early expungement, things like that, we will refer them over to legal aid, and we have an attorney that specifically works with our participants to help them with the expungement process, because criminal background on a record really is a huge barrier for participants. And we like to be able to show that they have been rehabilitated, even though they do have that criminal record on there. They have been rehabilitated, they've went to treatment, they've completed long-term treatment, they have character references. So there's lots of things that we provide to legal aid to let the judge know, you know, although this participant committed a non-violent crime, they are, because if there is a victim, if it is a violent crime, they will not be eligible for expungement. But basically, you know, we want to show them that they have been rehabilitated and show the judge that. So that's a little bit about that. We partner with community technical colleges. We partner with WVUP a lot, workforce development, the program out there, the workforce and economic development. I work with Martha Leeson a lot out there. I'm constantly asking Martha questions, and she's constantly helping me. So, you know, some of the classes they have out there, medical office assistant, welding, you know, any of the technical programs out there, we try to get participants that want to take advantage of those courses. And then we also give them the information on West Virginia Invest. That's a program if they want to get an associate's degree, you know, once they apply for financial aid, whatever financial aid doesn't pick up, West Virginia Invest picks up if they're eligible. So if they decide they want to go for an associate's degree, we also give them that information. We partner with Westbrook Health Services, and I want to just talk about that for just a few minutes. Rebecca Gandy is actually on the call today. She is our peer recovery support specialist, And if a participant would be working with Jobs and Hope and then they would fail a drug screen and have a relapse, we would refer them over to Rebecca, who actually works for Westbrook Health Services and Jobs and Hope. And then she would give them access to inpatient outpatient treatment. She would follow up with them for 90 days. And after 30 days, they would be able to come back on the program as long as they were able to pass a drug screen. So, and obviously, if we were working with an employer, we would have to let them know that, that the participant has had a relapse and that they are working with a peer to get back on track and stay active and enrolled in Jobs and Hope. Does anybody have any questions so far? I feel like I just covered a lot of information. So if you do, just go ahead and let me know. To date, we have 21 transition agents statewide located in each of the 7 Workforce West Virginia regions. Each transition agent has a different expertise. We have people that have came from recovery. We have people that have came from DHHR, Workforce West Virginia, higher education, public service organizations, healthcare programs, veterans programs, and myself came from criminal justice background. I worked with public defenders, and so a lot of my expertise is just in criminal justice involved participants and resources through there. Transition agents link participants to resources that make education and employment more easily accessible. We work with the participant, we meet with them once a month, we get a drug screen for them, we review their plan, we make sure they're following it. If they have questions or they don't know how to do something, we try to help them work through whatever it is that they are working with. So we act as case managers. And currently we have a lot of folks in the Jobs and Hope West Virginia program. We hope to get more transition agents, especially for Wood County soon. As I said before, the major referral partners that we get are Wood County Drug Court and Family Court, Probation, Day Report Center, recovery providers, therapists, and then self-referrals. And this is my contact information. And I think that Jill is going to get that out to everyone. And let me see. I think that's the end. But I'm going to stop sharing my screen at this point and just kind of talk to you about each service that we offer and go more into that. So let me see if I can stop sharing without any technical difficulties. Okay, can everybody see me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So the way I want to just kind of explain how the process works. Once a participant goes on to our website at Jobs and Hope West Virginia, which you guys will have access to that, or they call the 1-800 number, which is through First Choice Services. First Choice Services is the same outfit that does Help for West Virginia, and that's where we get our referrals through. And then once they find out what county the participant is, they will send to whatever transition agent is in that county. We will receive a referral, we will contact them and make an appointment with them. We will explain the program to them. And then we will make contact with them and do an intake to find out what their barriers are, what their job goals are, what their previous work experience is, and basically do an intake with all of their information. We will then send an enrollment packet out to them, send them out for their initial drug screen, and send them releases to sign and things like that so that we can get them actually enrolled. And then we will schedule an enrollment appointment with them. At that time, we will do a job development plan, which is an outline of all the things I named before, what their barriers are and what they need assistance with. some of the things that we assist with, once we get them get that part taken care of, we will then, based on what their career goal is, we will talk to them about our partners. We will try to get them hooked up with some training and classes. They have to be enrolled with some kind of training or some kind of classes to be eligible for the perks of our program. So we will, we help with some of the things that we help with is transportation. We offer bus passes. We also partner with MovaCare. So if a participant doesn't have a driver's license when they come on with us and they are working on getting their driver's license back through us or through the new bill that passed, we will provide them with transportation through MovaCare to work and back until they get their driver's license back. And so that also is a good thing for employers. We can actually get them stable rides back and forth to work until they are able to do it on their own. And we also provide rides to education. So if they're attending classes at adult education or WVUP, we can pay for those. We can pay for those classes. They can we will book a ride through MovaCare and MovaCare will pick them up, or through MovaCare, they have a reimbursement program. So if they already have a family member that's taking them around to like meetings, taking them to work and taking them to school, and they're a Jobs and Hope participant, that family member can get reimbursed for actually driving them to those places. And I try to use that for the rural areas like in Elizabeth, because, you know, there's not a lot of transportation in those areas, or Pleasant or Ritchie County. We also partner with Good News Mountaineer Garage. So for Jobs and Hope, the first year we signed a contract for 50 cars for 50 Jobs and Hope participants. And if a participant had worked with us, overcame their barriers, attended trainings and education, gotten certificates, and now are ready for career employment, but they do not have a vehicle, let's say they've gotten their driver's license back through us, we will do a referral for Good News Mountaineer Garage. And so far, 3 participants in Wood County that I have worked with have received vehicles from Good News Mountaineer Garage. But it really depends on how many referrals have been sent in, how many vehicles are available. And, you know, I think we blew through those first 50 cars pretty fast. So I think we're on our second contract now. Don't quote me on that, but I don't tell people you'll definitely get a car. I will say it depends on lots of factors, and hopefully you will get one. So we offer something that I haven't talked about is we offer dental and vision services to our participants that are active. So basically services are reserved for preventative and restorative procedures. You know, those are not usually covered by the medical card. Right now, there is an added extra $1,000 on medical cards due to COVID for those kind of things, but not covered by insurance and other community resources. We have dentists that work with us in the area that we refer participants to. If you know any dentists that would be interested in partnering with us, we need more. So, but we offer up to $3,000 for dental. And we also have a vision program, and that includes a free eye exam and a free pair of glasses. Driver's license assistance. So driver's license assistance is a huge thing that I have worked with lots of participants to do, and you will, when you go onto our program, if you're active and enrolled and doing everything that we've asked of you, we will do a referral after you've been in the program for 30 days to the DMV. The DMV will send us information back saying exactly what the participant needs to do to get started on the program. Sometimes they will have to pay small reinstatement fees up front, depending on what they have. And then they will take care of those, send me the receipts. I'll send a referral back to the DMV. The DMV will then send that over to citations. Citations will send me an email that says a stay has been placed on the license through the Jobs and Hope in the DMV program. It's a restrictive license. It allows the participant to get their driver's license back before paying off all the citations that they owe for in court costs. So once the stay is placed on their license, they have 2 years to pay the remainder of their citations off on a payment plan. And they will let the municipality that they are in, wherever, what county it is, let them know that they are a Jobs and Hope participant and start making payments on the remainder of the citations. They will get a citation list and call and find out how much those are. Now, there is a new program that passed, a new bill. I always forget the number of it. But there is a new bill that passed where folks through the state of West Virginia also can get on a payment plan, because now in West Virginia, a license cannot be suspended due to unpaid court costs and citations. And there is another option to get your driver's license back on a payment plan ahead of time and then pay your citations off. If you are a Jobs and Hope participant, the reinstatement fees are waived off of the citations, and you have to be, one thing that we also offer is we pay for DUI classes. If the participant needs DUI classes, and we pay for interlock. If I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that, but if they need to have a blow and go on their car due to a DUI, we pay for the installation of that in the first 3 months also. So, and then if they are on the interlock system though, they do have to drug screen for us for a period of 2 years. So if they think that, a lot of times now that the new bill is available, I offer them that option as well. So that way they can make a decision if they want to comply with my regulations or if they want to do it on their own. And Marie Bechtel with Legal Aid has a wonderful do-it-yourself guide to the new bill and the new driver's license procedure. So I have been sending that to participants so that they can also do it on their own if they want. In order to get the driver's license assistance, they have to be at least 30 days active in our program. They have to have completed the assigned activities, and they have to be enrolled in a training or education program, and it must be completed prior to me sending that. Each situation is evaluated on an individual basis, and support is provided based on the need. We also have a child care through choices. Jobs and Hope participant have access to child care while they are searching for employment or education, or even meetings. So that is a great partnership that we have. We partner with Catholic Charities. Kim Jackson is wonderful. She is the lady that I work with through Catholic Charities. If a person is a Jobs and Hope participant, they are active. We do provide up to $1,000 monetary assistance available if they are actively participating, and no less than 60 days already in our program. And basically, once again, it will be on a case-by-case basis. We have used that money to help with first month rent and deposit. We have used it for work boots, steel toe boots, books, just any employment or educational needs that they may have that's acting as a barrier. Once they use it, they lose it. So that's just, and it's up to $1,000. A lot of participants think it is $1,000, but it's really just based on the need. So, we might help with $800 and then we'll be done. But it just really depends case by case. Misuse of funds will result in disenrollment from the Jobs and Hope participant, program. We have had some issues with that. Legal aid is another partnership. And as I said before, it's expungement assistance. It's people that have been convicted of a nonviolent crime, as I talked about. And if they have any other legal questions such as child custody, driver's license, employment, legal aid background. So if a participant wants to take advantage of the new driver's license bill, I can also forward them to legal aid and they will help with that process. Or if they have any other, attorney questions, Marie is always available to help with any questions that a participant has. Peer recovery support, I touched on that and talked about that. Rebecca is available. It's not just for people that may have a relapse. If a person needs additional services, if they're struggling or going through some type of thing that's just, could possibly result in a relapse, that peer is also there for added support services. And basically career and free training, we talked about that. We talked about the partners. We are a last dollar in program. So anytime a participant needs assistance with anything, we try to refer to our community resources first and make sure that there's not another program that's able to help with that. We also, as far as employment and training, we will have them apply for financial aid, grants, and things like that first before taking advantage of any services that we offer. And I think that's about it. I mean, I could talk all day about the services that we offer. There are a lot, and each person is different. So we do a little bit of everything. But to basically our end goal is that the participant is able to get career employment over minimum wage with benefits and, retirement plan and the whole nine. Each person is different and each person has different barriers, so it really just is case by case, but that is our end goal. So at this time,
Dominique, this is Jill. So how many current participants do you have in Wood County that are going through the Jobs and Hope program, roughly?
100.
100. And do you have one success story that you could share with the folks on the webinar today?
Sure. I had a participant that didn't have their driver's license. They had lost their driver's license due to a DUI. They came on our program. We assisted them with getting their driver's license back. That participant is enrolled in college right now. And I have several people that are enrolled in college right now, but because I've only been with in this position for about a year and we're new, a lot of our participants that are attending college haven't finished yet. But this participant decided to take advantage of the heavy equipment operator program and went for 28 days to Camp Dawson and now is making $26 an hour doing heavy equipment operation. So, he is so grateful and thankful. And he was one of those participants that was always contacting me saying, hey, Dominique, I went and took my drug screen. Hey, how can I do this? The people that are motivated, that really want the services and really want to excel are, basically can do anything through our program as long as if they've got the motivation and the want to, then, we will help them any way we can. So.
Great. Thank you.
And he is actually working on getting his felony expunged at this point.
Good.
Too.
So I know you also have with you today Miranda Luff from the Workforce Development Board, and so
yes.
Maybe a transition. So I know one of the challenges that you and I have talked about is the need to find more businesses in the Mid-Ohio Valley who would be able to accept employees that are going through the Jobs and Hope program. And I know that Workforce Development Board and Miranda have programs and opportunities that can support the businesses. So I will let you maybe segue and introduce her. And if Miranda is still on here, if maybe she might want to share and talk a little bit.
Yes, and that is definitely something that I do see as a barrier for me as a Jobs and Hope participant. I would love to have more employers that are open to, even with immediate employment, it doesn't have to be career employment, but I just need, and I know that sometimes it's at the top and, you know, it's been that way for a long time. And there's certain requirements as far as background checks and things like that that are just out of some employers' control. But I do hope to get more employers that can help me with immediate employment and career employment in our county. And I'm always promoting Miranda's programs too, because with Miranda's programs, it's like, why not take a chance with wage reimbursement and on the job training and things like that. She's an expert at all of that, so I will turn it over to her.
Thanks, Dominique. So again, I'm with the Workforce Development Board, and I just want to kind of explain that role real quick. The Workforce Development Board, we get our funding for WIOA programs, Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. And with that program that we operate, we provide funding for adult, dislocated worker, youth in school, youth out of school, and employer programs. So the main thing that I wanted to just kind of touch on would be with Dominique, how she was talking about a lot of the Jobs and Hope participants want to go to training. That's actually where we come in as a partner agency to work with Jobs and Hope. We help connect the adult and dislocated worker population to classroom training. We call it individual training account, or ITA training, and we are able to pay for up to $10,000 for some sort of classroom training, as long as it's an in-demand occupation. Dominique had mentioned heavy equipment operator, things like that, always in demand. Any sort of CDL, always doing CDL, and anything with IT and medical, you can pretty much bet that it's in demand. But that's all part of the case management process. They would actually get referred to one of our case managers, and they would determine their career path and connect them to an appropriate training, and usually through one of the community and technical schools if possible. So that's the classroom portion of the training. The other thing I wanted to touch on really is what's in it for the employer. I know we talked about this is always an issue. You know, why do they want to take a chance on these individuals? Well, that's where our funding will come in for the employer wage reimbursements. So this is the employer side of our WIOA funding. And the main program that everybody wants to know about and hear about if you're an employer is called Empowered Employment. This is a new program that started in April. It is through the state. It's their own pilot program that they created. Empowered Employment is meant to give anybody that has some sort of additional barrier to employment work experience. It's not meant to be full-time employment. There's no issue if the employer doesn't want to keep this person. It's really just about work experience. It's adult work experience. So just an example of who could be eligible for this as a participant, it could be anybody who is low income, if they're in homeless recovery programs, if they're a TANF participant, basic skills deficient, if they have a disability of any sort that they self-attest to, if they're an English language learner, a displaced homemaker, if they've been impacted by drug or incarceration of a family member, so they don't even have to have had this connection with addiction or the opioid addiction in their personal path. It could just be a family member had this. So it's really kind of open-ended with that. If they're an ex-offender, if they're a SNAP participant, and then of course if they're coming through some sort of opioid addiction program and they're trying to reconnect to the workforce, and then if they're a secondary school dropout, so if they're a high school dropout. So those are initial barriers that they would have to meet. And then the second part of this Empowered Employment program through the state is that they have to have some sort of inconsistent work history, whether that be they have a spotty work history, if they've been unemployed for the past 13 weeks. There's a whole bunch of ways that they can meet it, but it does have to be some sort of issue with keeping and maintaining employment. So that's for the case managers to figure out. 9 times out of 10, if they're coming from the Jobs and Hope program, they would be eligible for the Empowered Employment. So with the Empowered Employment program, it's 100% wages reimbursed to the employer. We do require that the employer put the individual on their payroll. So you would, of course, take on all those employer responsibilities of liability and workers' comp, any unemployment insurance, those types of things. You would have that because they're on your payroll. We reimburse it again 100%. And it's from anywhere from 13 to 26 weeks of wage reimbursement. So that can be up to 1,040 hours. If you go as far as the 26 weeks, we do require that in order for it to qualify for 26 weeks of employment of the wage reimbursement, it has to be a full-time job for the participant. Or if you are in a workplace scenario where you can train on more than one job, say you have someone that you want to train maybe to do secretarial work, they're going to maybe operate the front desk and do those types of jobs, but then you also want to maybe train them in the accounting department, that would be 2 different jobs, and then we could do 2 different workplace contracts. So it would be for a total of 26 weeks. And the reimbursements are done monthly. And you just submit invoices to us and we reimburse the employer. So again, it is work experience. You do not have to keep them at the end, but if you do, if you already have in mind that you want to do that, we would set up the contract for 26 weeks. The other thing that we have, if the person is not eligible for empowered employment because there are the additional barriers that they have to meet, or if they're going to make a higher wage, the empowered employment is only for minimum wage up to $15 an hour. That is a local policy according to the empowered employment that we've determined. The state policy does not mention anything about what the max wage is, but we've set that at 15. If they are going to make 16 or higher, they might be eligible for our on-the-job training. And the OJT, as we call it, training is meant for permanent full-time employment only. So no longer work experience. It's now you're 100% the employer. You want to keep this person indefinitely, you know, as long as it works out, that's the goal. And it is for only 480 hours of wage reimbursement. And depending on how many employees you have, would determine your wage rate reimbursement. So if you have 100 or more employees, you would be looking at a 50% wage reimbursement. If you have 99 or fewer, it's 75% wage reimbursement. This again is done every month. You submit invoices to the Workforce Development Board with proof of payroll and an invoice, and everything is submitted to the employer. We do have a process for any employer that would like to be eligible to be a workplace for empowered employment, or just to get set up with OJT for any brand new hires that you're bringing into your company. And the application is very simple. We just have to be able to show that you have current proofs of insurance, workers' compensation, liability, and unemployment insurance, and then get some basic information about your business, such as your FEIN, your location, your address, all those things.
So that was a question I was going to ask you, Miranda. They do need to be domiciled in West Virginia. The business needs to have its location here or home.
So actually, we can work with Ohio employers, but the thing with that is we have to make sure that the participant that we're actually placing with the Ohio employer is in one of our 9 counties.
Okay.
And we serve 9 counties, and I think they align with the ones that Dominique went over, but Calhoun, Clay, Jackson, Mason, Pleasants, Ritchie, Roane, Wood, and Work counties.
And I just want to chime in real quick because when I was at the public defender office, I utilized those services that Miranda is discussing. We did. I always forget the names of them, but we did start to finish with all of those programs with an employee that we wanted to hire to help me in the substance treatment and mental health coordinator position there at the public defender. So it sounds like, you know, I think as employers, you may be worried about the paperwork and what all you have to do to get reimbursed. Jessica Rummer was the case manager that worked with me, that works with Miranda during that time that we were doing that. And I was in charge of doing the reimbursements. And Jessica was always very helpful if I had any questions. It was not a lot of paperwork that I had to submit each month, and it was easy. It was fairly easy considering the amount of work that I had going on already. I thought, oh no, I'm going to have to add something extra. And I just wanted to say, you know, it was a really simple, easy process and wasn't difficult at all. So I like to tell everybody that, because I think as employers, they're like, but what do we have to do, you know? So anyway, thank you for joining me today, Miranda, and letting them know about those services. And if anybody has any questions for me at this time, I will be happy to answer questions, or if you have questions for Miranda.
Hey, it's Danielle at People's Bank. How are you?
Good.
Hi.
I just really had a general question of what your biggest ask is from us here in the community.
I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry.
What your biggest ask of us is as community members to be the best partner with you.
I guess just being able to offer employment for participants, or reaching out to other employers and letting employers know about our program. Yes, that would be wonderful.
Thank you.
Do you, since you are from People's Bank, while I have you on here, I'll go ahead and ask, do you guys have any like training programs for people that may, for as far as financial, maybe? Like Consumer Credit Counseling has a lot of programs there. Does People's Bank have any kind of trainings or classes on financial literacy or anything like that?
Yes, we sure do. As managers here in Woodin, Washington County, and where all of our branches are, we are more than happy to come and do those classes and fit them around whatever you prefer us do. If there's a special topic that you want us to hit on, or we can just do an overview. But we're more than happy to come anytime.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I will send you an email then, because
Okay,
that's
great.
another way that we could probably partner together.
Fantastic. We'd be more than happy to.
Okay.
Great. Anybody else have a question for Dominique or for Miranda?
Hi guys. This is Close from Huntington. How's everyone?
Good.
Good.
I actually spoke with Miranda earlier this week. I was so glad to see this invitation come through. And I do think a couple of partners that I started working with last week are actually on this call.
Oh, great.
But you know, Huntington did back in February, we had a town hall where we looked across our region to determine, I think Jill was on that call, where we were trying to determine, you know, what our biggest need is in our area. And it took me back, because one of the things that I heard multiple times on that call was we needed workforce development. And it took me back to a year and a half ago when Flight Fryman reached out to me from Jobs and Family Services and asked me to kind of help him to craft, I know there's been a barrier for years between workforce development and banking and professional occupations. And so I actually put together a meeting, which I had invited Miranda when I talked to her earlier this week, last Friday, so that we could start to form that. And, I'm really glad to hear what I'm hearing from you, Dominic, to know what resources, because I have no idea what resources we have. And I think we have a lot of them in this area. So I'm super excited to, learn a little bit more from you guys. But I will tell you, it is coming. We are in the middle of a TCF merger. And so I was able to actually find out this week that part of the merger, whenever Huntington merges with another bank, it's never that we go in, and it's not like a hostile takeover where, we just say, okay, here's our practices and now you're going to start doing them. We look at the practices they have, and we look at what we can do to make us a better bank. So one of the things that TCF has done already is they've somewhat figured out this barrier problem that we have with taking folks that, you know, get into professional studies there. So there is actually a program that right now is being handled through in the Pittsburgh area that's being crafted and drafted there. I raised my hand. I'm really hoping I can get it here for us to use as a protocol very soon, because I think we need a rural development piece as well. But I do think that we'll have some opportunities, because, you know, the one thing I didn't hear you talk about too was banking or professional studies, you know, for opportunities for your folks. And I do think there's probably a lot of personalities that would align with that, you know, and so it's definitely something that I'm looking forward to in the future, partnering with you all on as well.
Okay.
Just wanted to say.
That's wonderful. And some other information that I've passed on to Jill and the chamber that's coming down the pike from Charleston is an employer packet. And I think that CORE is a employment program in Charleston that is basically just a facility that helps people that are in recovery or people that have a criminal background find employment. And they're also going to offer an employer packet to employers to be a drug-friendly workplace, and how to provide, you know, just a packet basically with all the information on how to better work with people that are in that population. So and every time I get that information, I'm also going to be sending it to Jill, and I have sent some things over, and I think I hope that that's going to open up more doors too, and I really appreciate that. And yes, I have not referred anybody to a bank job, so, and not all of my participants have, you know, petty theft or theft crimes or anything like that. So I don't see why they couldn't work in that kind of setting. So that would be wonderful. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, Barb. That's great. And Danielle, and I see Stacy is on here as well from BB&T Truist, or she was on here. I don't know, she had to step away. But I know banking is one area that they talk about their need for tellers in the entry-level positions at all of the banks. Is a challenging position to fill and keep filled. And they then obviously train those folks and they move up in the organizations. And so a great opportunity if the skill set and whatever precipitated them into the program would allow them to possibly be a candidate for employment at one of those organizations. That would be wonderful. All right, we've got just a couple minutes left. Anybody else have a pressing question that you would like? I know Dominique included her contact information in the chat. We will send out the flyers and the presentation to everyone that participated. We will also load this onto our YouTube page. So if there's somebody that you think, oh, I would love for a peer organization or somebody that you intercept with at Rotary or your BNI group that you would like them to learn more about this, please feel free to have them refer to the Chamber YouTube channel, and we will have that loaded later today. So Dominique, thank you so much for all that you're doing. Thank you so much to all the partners that are on here today. Thank you, Miranda, for sharing the resources that are available through the Workforce Development Board. I think if anything, you know, we talked about barriers for your participants in your program, but I think we have maybe shown a light on some barriers for employers that hopefully that we can alleviate some of those concerns about bringing individuals who are wanting to re-enter the workforce after making maybe a bad decision in their life, and helping them, because I think everybody can probably think of a family, a friend, a coworker who has been impacted by some of these issues, and we want to make sure that we can get folks back into the workforce, because we have a lot of open jobs in the community right now, and if we've got a lot of people who are available, let's see if we can get them placed there.
Can I say something real quick, Jill?
Yes, ma'am.
I just threw another promotional material in the chat. It's a flyer for an executive briefing, and we are working with the Business Resource Network, which we're a part of, and another consulting company called Working Partners. And we are putting on some webinars to try to help employers to kind of educate them about, trying to bring in those with barriers to employment into the workforce and what that would mean to them and what type of challenges they will face because of this. They're going to go over drug screen laws and what is allowed in West Virginia and not allowed as far as policies and any sort of best practices and strategies that are necessary to have recovery friendly workplaces. And it's a whole series, but the next one is going to be, it's actually the first one. The first one we have is just for our resource partners to kind of let them know about this, but it's going to be Tuesday, April 13th, and it's from 9 to 11, and it's open to everybody. The link to register for it is in the flyer that I put in the chat, and it's through SurveyMonkey. And we really want as many employers as possible. If they attend this session and then the next session, the very last session is open to only 5 employers. And this is where the Working Partners Consulting Company will help these employers write policies and help them get everything in order for their employee handbooks and things like that in order to be able to bring in those that have the recovery issues and try to be able to make it legal, number one, and then also number two, how they're going to welcome them in and actually be able to, I guess, and bring them into the workforce and make it actually work. That's that missing piece that they may say they're recovery friendly, but they're really not. And so anyway, I want everyone to share it with anyone that they think would benefit from it, any employer that, or if Dominique, anybody that visits with employers, if they want to have this, it's really a great resource that we're trying to push out. And it goes great with our funding. So
Yeah, that was one of the handouts actually that Dominique just sent to us here last week. So we'll include that in there. So
good.
Again, thank you so much to Dominique for joining us today. Very much appreciate your time and expertise to educate everybody today on our webinar, and ask everybody to please have a safe rest of your day. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.